Thank you for joining us. We'll begin from the United States, where the FBI is investigating the attack, the U.S. state of New Orleans, as an act of terrorism and says it does not think the driver was solely responsible. At least 15 people were killed and at least 35 injured when a driver rammed a pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans in the early hours of New Year's Day. We have a report.
What the FBI is investigating as a possible act of terrorism occurred just hours into the new year. A driver drove a pickup truck through a crowd of holidaymakers, killing at least 15 persons and injuring several others. The famed New Orleans Bourbon Street immediately became a crime scene. The FBI has identified the suspect as a Texas man and an Army veteran. The suspect, who was killed in a fire exchange with officers, reportedly had an ISIS flag in his truck at the time of the attack. U.S. government officials briefed on the investigation so far say in videos made by the attacker before the attack, he said he had joined ISIS.
I have to thank Elon Musk specifically. He gave us quite a bit of additional information in regards to how the vehicle was locked after it exploded due to the force of the nature of the force from the explosion, as well as being able to capture all of the video from the Tesla charging stations across the country, and he sent that directly to us, so I appreciate his help on that. Both vehicles, I'm being told New Orleans was rented from Toro, and so was ours. That's another coincidence that absolutely is continuing to bear from our investigation that we have to continue to look into. Well, one, you see the drone flight through the vehicle because it was unsafe to get there, so that we're using that technology. Thankful to have it, as well as the first indication of that vehicle arriving here in Las Vegas came from a license plate reader. So technology has been very useful to us in resolving this. And
the attack in the French Quarters happened just less than a mile from where the Sugar Bowl was to be hosted just hours away. That prompted a postponement of the annual college football game. The city is also due to host the Super Bowl and the Mardi Gras Carnival. Amongst those killed are Tiger Birch, a native of Louisiana, who used to be a former Pristine football player and had been working as a junior trader in New York City. According to his sister, the 27-year-old had traveled to his home state for the holidays and was heading back to New York.
There's a lot of concern in New Orleans, particularly obviously concern for the victims, those who are killed, and the many that are injured. Beyond that, there are a number of tourists and a number of major events taking place in New Orleans over the next several weeks. And so there is growing concern if state and local authorities will be prepared to handle safety as these sporting and cultural events take place.
I initially was not going to go to the game yesterday. I didn't have a ticket, but now after obviously everything that we've seen, and I want people to have the confidence to understand that it will be safe tomorrow. I now have bought a ticket to the game, and I will be at the game tomorrow, even myself.
For more on the New Orleans attack, I'm being joined by global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa from Dallas in Texas. Good to have you join us, Mr. Okpa. 15 people killed while celebrating on New Year's Day. What do you make of this attack, which the FBI has described as an act of terrorism?
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Good afternoon, your time. It's just an awful incident that, this is not the first time somebody is driving a truck into a group of people and killing them. It makes me wonder what can we do, or what shall we do to prevent this stuff? Because as the report has it, the driver was wavering and there were police cars there, and they saw him before these things happened. It's just very unfortunate, but then, that tells you sometimes the laws we have is in reaction after something has happened. How can we prevent something like this? So the FBI is investigating. There's another incident in Las Vegas of a bomb, exploding in front of Trump Hotel, in a cyber truck. So we have a lot of things, happening, and hopefully we come to a solution, that will deter this type of thing happening. But it's very, very unfortunate.
Unfortunate it is. And the suspect, Shamsuddin Jabbar, is an army veteran. What could have driven him to commit this act, against a people he once swore to actually protect?
Well, there's, the Oklahoma bombing in 1989 or something like that, was again committed by, Timothy McVeigh, who was an Army veteran there. And then, in Killeen, Texas, where we have the military base, was another military doctor that, killed so many people. So, there are mental illness in America, and it has no limitation. It has no boundaries. There are people who go into their workplaces and kill people. There are people who swear, to protect the public, and they still kill them. Policemen do it. Our military people have done it inside America, as even when they are not supposed to do things like that. So that's just the human nature, and we try to rally and see what we do after the fact in order to prevent these things, but it looks like we're unable to do it. Hopefully, some more common sense solutions will come to terms, so we can, because innocent people don't have to die in this kind of situation. Nobody deserves to be killed by somebody who is angry at somebody or something. But that's what that's what we see in life.
We really look forward to those solutions. But what is your assessment in the meantime of response by security?
Well, the police people, law enforcement, they are no magicians. So hopefully we get to see this or hear about these things and try to prevent it before they happen. Most of the time, what happens is that after the fact, they react, and then we go back to the books and see what new laws we have to introduce in order to prevent it. But again, remember, a determined mind is a committed mind, and they're going to find a way to go around the law in order to do what it is they want to do. Those who assassinate presidents, those who kill their family members, those who poison, there are all kinds of way evil people, plan things and succeed, because to them, they have no regard for their own life. So they don't regard the life of anybody else. And they're going to do things because they want to make a statement. They want to be remembered, in whatever way people remember them. But life goes on. And it's very, very unfortunate. It's very, very sad for innocent people who were out there to celebrate, beginning of a new year, getting, crushed and killed by somebody they have nothing to do with.
It's really sad. And, Mr. Jabbar is actually believed to not be solely responsible. As we have it, President Biden has promised to make resources available and ensure there is no remaining threat. How well do you see that boosting efforts to fight terror in the U.S.?
It's just like, the 9/11, even some of those people who committed those things are still being held in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. So the federal, local, state resources have been, unleashed in New Orleans to find out what happened, whether this guy acted alone, whether he acted in consonant with somebody. Again, it's going to take months. Information are coming out bit by bit. We will know this, down the road, maybe in months or years. We figure out who instigated him, who encouraged him, because the truck was a rented truck. And they found out now that the truck that was used in bombing that exploded in Las Vegas in front of Trump Hotel was, leased from the same company. So maybe there's an organized thing going on. You remember, inauguration is coming in. So what is that going to do? Washington, D.C. is going to be a tight zone. It's going to be hard for people to go in there and celebrate what would have been a normal inauguration ceremony in our music. They may not even know, because you don't never know what's going to happen. You never know who is out there planning something and try to break the security circle in order to do what they want to do. Like I said earlier, their life is not worth anything. So wasting somebody else's life is nothing for them.
And in a few days, we'll have Donald Trump sworn in as president. As it stands, he appears to suggest that the attacker was from outside the U.S. But based on video evidence from something he released earlier, he was born and raised in Texas in the U.S. How do you see Donald Trump's administration handle the issue of terrorism differently, perhaps, from what is currently obtainable?
Well, again, when things happen, like I said, natural-born Americans have committed crimes, so we get terrorist act on America. What happens is that when you have the situation of illegal people crossing the border, the natural reaction, just like anybody anywhere in the world, blame others. It's always a blame game. But when we sit down, we begin to look at it, how do we tighten, how do we make public safety an issue so that innocent people don't get killed by somebody who is nursing some anger, somebody who is angry at something or somebody. Again, nobody has a magic wand. The situation is very terrible. We have guns in America. People turn around and kill their family members, or you show up at somebody's door and they say, oh, you came to my door uninvited, you're a threat, and they shoot you. And then what do we do? So that's the world we live in. It's not new. It has been going on ever since people started living in America. The reason we have guns because the early Americans used it to subdue those people they found when they got here. That's why it's in our Constitution, the rights to bear arms to defend yourself.
But in this case, Mr. Okpa, but in this case, bearing arms might not have even been a solution because it simply ran into them. He just broke through the barriers, and there was really nothing, perhaps, that those he eventually killed could have done. But that's just the much we'll be able to take at this time. I sincerely appreciate you. Ejike Okpa is Global Affairs Analyst. Thank you for your time on World Now.
Thank you.